1956. A therapy tape kept talking long after patient and doctor were gone. File 41 p.m. recovered from Kuybyshev Psychological Institute, Acoustics Therapy Division, dated 17 February 1956. The reel-to-reel tape labeled Patient M/Session. 41 documents a scheduled therapeutic consultation between Dr. Pavel Arkadin and a male patient suffering recurring auditory hallucinations, described as pages turning when eyes closed. Environmental readings confirm no anomalous interference. Temperature 17 degrees Celsius, humidity 45%, single 60-watt bulb illumination. At timestamp 00:00:41, microphone captures baseline breath and table resonance consistent with live presence. At 00132, a duplicate of Dr. Arkadin's voice begins reciting questions planned for later use in therapy. Tell me about last night. Describe the door. The speech predates his actual utterance by 40 minutes, verified by secondary clock recordings. The patient's responses, likewise duplicated, follow predictive cadence with identical inflection and a minor delay drift of +3%. Spectrogram analysis reveals harmonic layering at 19.7 Hz, consistent with theta range neural oscillations. Both voices share this modulation as though coupled by shared origin. During live playback, Arkadin attempts to stop the unit. Motor continues turning despite open circuit. Magnetic head temperature rises to 54 degrees Celsius, while electrical current reads 0. End segment, timestamp 00:22:14, contains faint respiration positioned within device cavity rather than microphone cone. Subjectively described as the tape breathing. Session concludes with soft exhalation, synchronized with lamp filament flicker. Doctor's field note. Recorder behaves as second participant, anticipates before stimulus, terminates after command as though negotiating permission. Following morning, both coats remain on wall hook, collars frost-patterned, indicating condensation without temperature drop. Window pane exhibits partial word traced by vapor, FILED, consistent with patient's recurring dream of a door marked likewise. No footprints in hallway. Machine found stopped. Box weight 192 grams, 5 above unrecorded stock. When archivists reopened it decades later, oxide residue along leader matched ECG waveform of average human at rest, implying organic synchronization. Classification: anomalous psychological recording device. Category: Mind 41. A. Further analysis restricted pending ministerial clearance. Two days following the anomalous Session 41, Dr. Pavel Arkadin prepared a standard transcript for departmental filing, typing directly from playback to ensure accuracy. During verification, new sentences appeared between his original notes, phrased in his diction yet never spoken, references to future appointments, corrections to misfiled patient codes, and an addendum signed by initials of a nurse not yet employed. Carbon comparison proved identical ribbon impression, ruling out forgery or retyping. When the doctor replayed the session for review, the machine produced supplementary dialogue labeled Session 42, although no such recording existed in the logbook. The voices belonged unmistakably to himself and patient M, continuing seamlessly from where Session 41 had ended. temporal metadata embedded in the real leader placed the capture 48 hours ahead of real time. Attempts to reproduce conditions with muted microphone resulted in further materialization of speech. Phrases concerning the door that listens and continuity of care. Laboratory technicians observed steady amplification cycles every 13 seconds, matching average respiration rhythm. Decibel pattern formed symmetrical sawtooth peaks identical to human pulse charts. When Arkadin disconnected mains power, the tape advanced an additional 20 centimeters, unpowered yet maintaining torque equivalent to playback speed. Thermal imaging revealed local heat around the capstan resembling human fingertip distribution. The doctor attempted erasure via bulk demagnetizer. Residual field persisted, rebuilding content phrase by phrase within 3 minutes of magnetic discharge. His marginal note reads, "Conversation persists autonomously. Machine performs rehearsal of unsaid thought." Night attendants later reported faint murmurs from inside the locked office during outages, a sound like breathing filtered through cloth. Investigation confirmed device unplugged. Analysis concluded transcription paper exhibited microabrasions arranged as sinusoidal ridges identical to voice pattern at 440 Hz, implying acoustic impression through mechanical contact rather than ink. Ministry directive followed. Suspend operation, isolate power, and report further spontaneous documentation. Dr. Arkadin ignored the order and continued the sessions under private study. Date: 24th February 1956. Source reel identified as Session 42 Supplemental. Transcript reveals continuous dialogue despite absence of both registered participants. Analysis confirms patient's voice describing corridor lined with cabinets, terminating in a door engraved filed. Identical phrasing to his dream reports, predating therapy. Environmental sensors record faint mechanical resonance at 63 Hz, originating from the wooden cabinet adjacent to Arkadin's desk. During playback, 3 knocks occur at interval of 5 seconds. Waveform alignment proves the sounds were inscribed on tape 22 seconds before they occurred in the room. Temperature inside cabinet measured 28 degrees Celsius, 11 above ambient, despite absence of heat source. When opened, drawers contained sealed boxes correctly labeled up to Session 42. A 13th box, unlisted in registry, bore fresh ink, Patient M/Session 43/concluded. Ink wet, handwriting inconsistent with Arkadin's baseline but pressure profile identical, implying same motor act executed under altered control. Inside lay blank leader tape wound around an empty core, exuding residual warmth for 30 minutes after removal. Chemical test of oxide edge shows trace sodium and keratin, suggesting organic contact. Subsequent recordings captured metallic resonance correlated with the act of drawer opening, though no movement visible to witnesses. Magnetic survey of the cabinet exterior detects rhythmic flux at pulse frequency of average adult male, amplitude modulated by speech intervals. Hospital electricians report grounding wires, singling faint harmonics of the word filed when contacted with multimeter. Dr. Arkadin's private note appended to case file. Cabinet now functions as continuation of patient environment. Possible migration of dialogue locus. He requests construction of secondary storage unit for comparative study, citing hypothesis that containment might stimulate replication. Supervisors deny materials. However, workmen later discover fresh sawdust beneath desk consistent with carpentry overnight. Weight discrepancy logged next morning. Cabinet heavier by 2.4 kilograms. On inspection, newly inserted drawer found locked from inside. Acoustic probe reveals sound of paper turning and mechanical breath at 8 cycles per second. Chamber sealed under ministerial order. Designation containment 43A. Inspection authorized under Ministry Circular 11/3B. 2 representatives of the Institute for Forensic Acoustics, Engineer Andrei Voronin and Lieutenant Sergei Kurov, arrived at the Kuibyshev Clinic on the 26th of February, 1956 with mandate to assess unlawful pre-registration of speech. The examination took place in Laboratory Room 4, using standard Faraday enclosure and portable magnetic discharge generator, colloquially termed the Thunderbox. Device parameters verified neutral, all power disconnected before trial. At 19:03 local time, a control reel designated Clean 01 was threaded. Recorder motor here initiated autonomously after static discharge, emitting ozone odor consistent with electrical storm. Within 90 seconds, playback produced female voice not present in facility at the time, identified through later phonetic match as Nurse Elena Volkova. Voice enumerated contents of Cabinet 3, Drawer 2, including an itemized list of box conditions that corresponded exactly to inventory conducted afterward. When auditors demanded erasure, the discharge generator engaged for full cycle. Electromagnetic sweep reached saturation, yet recorded signal persisted, reforming after 10 seconds of silence. Added line appeared in same voice. Continuity maintained. No further interruption. Time base oscillator on monitoring console began to advance 11.8 seconds ahead of master clock. Attempts to resynchronize failed. Lieutenant Kurov sustained superficial scratch on right cheek concurrent with his event. Injury appears seconds prior on recording, later duplicated physically. Both men report auditory perception of their names whispered backward. Engineer Voronin's logbook fills additional lines during session, typed not in his hand, but in handwriting identical to Dr. Arkadin's. Final inventory reveals 1 reel unaccounted for, its absence documented before removal. Following day, unmarked container materialized atop sealed Thunderbox housing, labeled Nurse Elena, Session 0, in identical ink formulation. Box empty, yet emitted rhythmic vibration, detectable only through contact microphones. Frequency matched adult female pulse under mild exertion. Audit closed without explanation. Recommendation appended. Terminate therapeutic recording apparatus. Dispose via disassembly. Action never completed. On the 1st of March 1956, the therapy room registered activation of the reel-to-reel apparatus at 21:04 hours, despite the absence of both Dr. Pavel Arkadin and his patient, Code EAM. The unit's pilot lamp engaged without external current, drawing residual energy from an unplugged circuit. Monitors in adjacent laboratory captured faint vibrations through floor joists, identical to the frequency of human speech patterns at low amplitude. Within 4 minutes, the machine began recording a structured dialogue consistent with prior sessions, 2 voices alternating in calm rhythm. Transcript analysis indicates lexical and tonal fidelity, identical to the missing doctor and patient. The conversation addresses continuation of treatment, but contextual markers show knowledge of events occurring after official termination of experiments. References include the door that opened inward, the sound of the pencil writing smaller, and mention of an observer who will hear us later. Background harmonics oscillate at 13-second intervals, matching the periodic breathing recorded during session 41. At minute 18, a third voice intrudes, neutral, genderless, speaking in archival phrases, patient codes, cabinet numbers, corridor coordinates. Its tone described by auditors as administrative but kind. Attempts to interrupt recording by mechanical obstruction prove futile. Reels resist manual stoppage with torque exceeding specification. Room temperature increases to 26 degrees Celsius. Walls emit faint resonance akin to sustained vowel frequency. On-site technician notes flickering of fluorescent lamps synchronized with reel revolutions. At conclusion of sequence, both male voices utter same line simultaneously. Tell me about last night and what the door let in. Immediately after, the reels unwind by themselves and the machine ceases motion. Examination of cabinet reveals new box labeled Patient M/Session 43 positioned where empty space was logged. Ink analysis. Unfixed, age indeterminate. Box weight exceeds standard by 1.9 kilograms. Interior void confirmed. The air around shelf registers micro-pressure pulse comparable to exhalation of a resting human. Unit sealed under classification Mind/Autonomous Session Event. Filed under accession number 56, MINDF. On March 3rd, 1956 at 10 hours, the porter entered office 12B to deliver morning correspondence. He found the space arranged with surgical precision. Lamp burning steadily, desk cleared except for the reel recorder and a fresh transcript labeled Session 43. No occupants present. Ambient temperature measured 21 degrees Celsius, 4 degrees above hallway average. Recorder motor inactive, but capstan warm to touch. 2 overcoats hung side by side on wall peg. Dry, pressed, collars perfectly aligned. Transcript inspection revealed full dialogue bearing both signatures, Arkadin's and patient M's. Handwriting confirmed identical to Arkadin's baseline sample. File stamped concluded. Administrative Committee ordered closure of therapeutic division and sealing of apparatus pending forensic retrieval. At 21:04, precisely 24 hours after initial disappearance, the recorder reactivated within locked office. Security microphones documented 20-minute sequence of low-volume speech. Voices indeterminate, alternating in cadence, approximating question and answer, though semantic analysis yields repetition of one phrase. Enough now. During playback, breathing within signals synchronizes exactly with pulse of Nurse E. Volkova monitoring outside door. Upon her verbal command, rest, the motor decelerates gradually and halts without mechanical resistance. Reel end mark burns clean on oxide, indicating voluntary stop rather than power loss. Nurse labels container final and countersigns registry. Subsequent nights produce faint mechanical activation at identical hour. Lamp glows for 13 seconds, then extinguishes. No additional content appears on tape, yet residual magnetism oscillates at 0.8 millitesla rhythm corresponding to human REM cycle. Over the following week, Offices directly above report faint tapping beneath floorboards, spacing identical to metronome used in early sessions. Technicians dismantling furniture detect hairline fissure in concrete, emitting warm airflow with trace scent of iodine and paper. Area sealed using bitumen compound. Sealant cools, yet continues to pulse perceptibly to observers. Ministry memorandum concludes, unit exhibits cessation behavior consistent with organism entering dormancy. Do not disturb Cabinet 3 subsequently reassigned to Medical Records Archive. Magnetic field readings persist in vicinity every Friday night at 21:04 hours, plus or minus 3 seconds. Status: closed, not inactive. Recovered from Building 7 of the Quebychev Municipal Archive, inventory reference MIND 1956/7A, dated 14 November 1983. Discovery occurred during structural renovation when workers removed a false panel concealing Cabinet 3. Surface intact, locks functional after 27 years. Upon opening, ambient temperature measured 5 degrees higher than surrounding space. Air carried mild scent of antiseptic and burnt dust. Inside were 43 standard audio boxes numbered sequentially, plus one marked Final. Each label's ink unfaded, handwriting consistent with Dr. Arkadin's. Paper fibers and tape leaders exhibited chronological layering, inconsistent with manufacture dates, implying gradual material growth during storage. When archivists attempted playback of session 41 for preservation, the recording produced not historic dialogue, but immediate ambient replication. Footsteps of staff present in the vault, sound of ventilation, the click of camera shutters, an acoustic mirror reflecting present events rather than past ones. Technicians halted playback. Tape continued emitting subsonic modulation, registering as breath on spectrum display. Metadata file created automatically on digital terminal included line, continuity reestablished. 2 minutes later, terminal printed new accession code unassigned to database. When typed manually, system returned prompt FILED. Boxes catalogued at 43. At midnight, count corrected itself to 44 without human amendment. Additional reel located in shipping crate next morning, labeled faded yet legible. Session 0. Duration, 19 minutes of silence, followed by low-frequency signal resolving into male voice pattern identified as Arkadin's. Statement, still listening. Voice timbre matches archival reference, though harmonic range suggests older age. Playback environment recorded background identical to vault acoustic response, indicating simultaneous capture across decades. Tape oxide analysis reveals no physical data layer, confirming signal manifestation through electromagnetic induction. Curator notation appended to preservation report reads, archive now self-updating, playback forms present moment. Cessation impossible without deletion of listener. Ministry orders re-evaluation postponed indefinitely. Equipment stored under triple lock. At weekly inspections, staff report slight vibration from within sealed boxes. 13.1 second pulse, amplitude 0.04 millitesla. Condition: stable, responsive.